Welcome back. President Fattah al-Sisi received a phone call from Spain's Prime Minister on Tuesday. During the call, al-Sisi praised bilateral ties between Cairo and Madrid, saying he looked forward to expanded cooperation in all fields. He said he hoped for boosting ties in health, care, maritime transportation, renewable energy and tourism. He said he is looking forward to attracting Spanish investments in Egypt, especially in mega national projects. And for his part, his counterpart said his country values ties with Egypt and is looking forward to boosting ties in various fields. He said he is keen on coordination with Cairo, which he said is playing a vital role in achieving stability in the Middle East and the Mediterranean region. He said Cairo's role in fighting terrorism, extremism and illegal immigration is very much appreciated. Presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said the talks discussed regional and international issues of mutual concern, including the Palestinian issue and the latest developments in Libya. Radi said the Sisi reviewed the Egyptian efforts to achieve political settlements to the crisis in the region. On the 8th of June 2014, President al-Sisi was sworn in. During his 7 years in office, al-Sisi took major steps towards turning Egypt into a modern state. Under his leadership, many housing and infrastructure projects were implemented, including the fourth-generation cities. And under the social housing project, 414,000 housing units were established at a cost of £51 billion. More details in the following report.
Since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi assumed office on June 8th of 2014, the Egyptian foreign policy succeeded in achieving a new start in various pivots, topped by the obtaining of a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. Since al-Sisi took office, Egypt showed keenness to establish balanced relations with all countries of the world, east and west, north and south. Egypt strengthened deep ties with many countries, whether with the sisterly Arab and African countries or with the major powers led by the United States, Europe and Japan. Accordingly, President al-Sisi paid foreign visits and participated in the regional and international summits and forums, other than his bilateral visits to various world countries which come for the interests of Egypt politically and economically. In this context, Egypt adopted firm stances, especially towards the regional issues in the Middle East, taught by the crises in Syria, Libya, Yemen and Iraq. However, the Palestinian issue remains on top of the Egyptian priorities, where Egypt exerted tremendous efforts to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people and remove effects of the aggression. The Egyptian affiliation to the African continent comes on top of the Egyptian foreign policy. It also constitutes one of the main milestones in the history of Egypt, where since President al-Sisi assumed office, Egypt has aimed to play an active role in various mechanisms of joint African action. In recent years, Egypt's foreign policy has sought various sources of armaments, and as a result, it maintains military relations with different arms manufacturing countries. However, Egypt's Ministry of State for Military Production has drawn up an integrated plan to develop the country's military manufacturing system, worth 7.3 billion Egyptian pounds. In fact, Egypt was the first state to buy Rafale fighter jets when Dassault began production in 2015 with the order of 24 aircrafts. In a historic moment of national pride, al-Sisi inaugurates a new Suez Canal as Egypt seeks to boost its economy and international standing. The new section, built at a cost of $9 billion and funded entirely by Egyptian investors, runs part of the way alongside the existing canal connecting the Red Sea and the Mediterranean. Since al-Sisi assumed office, Egypt has adopted an economic reform program which produced positive results. Over the last 7 years, the mega projects implemented in various sectors have reshaped Egypt's development map and have significantly participated in improving services provided to the Egyptian citizens, starting from Upper Egypt to the Delta. To overcome the crisis of power outage, the government carried out 166 projects at a cost of £308 billion to produce 52,000 megawatts. The Ministry of Transportation carried out about 380 projects to facilitate the traffic movement for 20 million passengers daily amid the increasing population. The total cost of the project is estimated at £85 billion. The Ministry of Housing and Public Utilities, in cooperation with the Armed Forces Engineering Authority, built 377,000 housing units for the low-income people, particularly the youth and residents of slums. The cost of the built houses was estimated at £60.1 billion. In the health sector, a total of 247 projects at a cost of £24.6 billion for the health sector have been implemented over the 4 years. About 376 hospitals were well equipped to meet the people's needs nationwide. Despite the severity of the economic repercussions of the coronavirus pandemic, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has assured that the Egyptian economy has demonstrated a resilience that helped sustain its positive growth rates. El-Sisi said that the inauguration of the new administrative capital and the relocation of the government's headquarters to the new city will mark the birth of a new state of Egypt. Being built some 45 kilometers east of the current capital Cairo since 2015 on an area of 714 square kilometers, the new capital is planned to accommodate 6.5 million people, starting with 500,000 in the first stage, making some space in the congested and overpopulated Cairo that is home to about 1/5 of the country's 100 million population.
The Health Ministry reported 782 new coronavirus cases and 47 cases. In its daily report, the ministry said the number of recoveries has reached 197,000 cases. 269,000 cases have been reported in the country since the first case of pandemic was reported in Egypt. Egypt received 500,000 doses of China's Sinovac coronavirus vaccine on Monday. Egypt received raw materials for the production of 2 million Sinovac doses in May after signing an agreement to produce the vaccine locally and distribute it in Egypt and the other African countries. Health Ministry Hala Zaid has announced that the first vials are due to be produced on June 15th and up to the 6 weeks will be needed for checks before they are put to use in vaccination centers. Egypt expects raw materials for a further 4.2 million Sinovac doses this month and aims to produce 40 million doses this year. Egypt has received several million AstraZeneca and Sinopharm doses, has said it aims to vaccinate 40% of its population by the end of 2021. India's capital New Delhi and financial hub Mumbai